G'day everyone, this past week I've been playing Armoured Core 6 and in this video we're going to ask the question, should you play Armoured Core 6?
Time to get to work, 621.
Armoured Core is a third-person shooter mecha video game that came from the beloved now developers FromSoft. However, back in the day, From Software wasn't nearly as huge as it is today. However, they made games back from 1997 called the original Armoured Core, and then since then they made almost yearly iterative releases, all the way up until 2006, and then there was a very large break until 2012 where the previous entry of this game came in, Armoured Core 5. 12 years later, we're back at it again with Armoured Core 6. This game, however, was developed by Masaru Yamaru. He was the lead director for Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice. Now this was another Souls-like game with a very big twist where everything was not about you leveling up, but more about experiencing the story, much like a Ninja Gaiden game where everything has a set difficulty for all players and you can't abuse the difficulty. Armoured Core 6 is very much the same. It is a set difficulty and you cannot abuse difficulty by leveling up. However, unlike Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice, this game gives you an ample load of opportunities to customize your mecha to the playstyle that you wish to play and the encounter before you. Now, my personal history of Armoured Core is very minimal. I haven't played any other Armoured Core game. The only experience that I have with the game is a review by Josh Haves on Armoured Core 1, and his review painted the game as a almost mythical game where you had to worry about the economy of the world, the economy of running your mech and making sure you don't overextend how you use your weapons. You have to count your bullets to make sure you have enough ammo to get through the entire level, and I was expecting this to be a hard strategetic game, but what we got instead was a tactical game where we didn't have to really worry about how much we were wasting our ammo, counting our bullets, or really worrying about ammo capacity at all, except for in a few narrow circumstances. There was a few times where I did actually run out of ammo, but it was near the end of the level and it was fine and I could make do with what I had left. But in Josh Hayes' review of the game, he said that he had to use the sword quite a bit in order to easily clear missions properly. And the sword didn't have any ammo capacity, so he could save his ammo by using his sword to clear out enemies. And I thought Armoured Core 6 would be very much the same as this. He also talked about how there was a lot of choices in the game between choosing the side with the corporations, choosing the side with the planeteers, or just being plain greedy. He also talked about how there was AI and the possible training of your replacement, as you were a worthless, new modified human that they were trying to steal data from in order to create a new and better super AI in order to make humans obsolete. This is what I was expecting from Armoured Core 6. These were pretty lofty expectations, and I think I imagined a much grander game in my head than what we actually got. This leads us to some of the cons I had playing the game. The beginning of the game was extremely hard. In fact, it was way harder than any other point in the game. It was very confusing because I couldn't play the game how I wanted to play the game, and instead I had to play the game how it wanted to be played. It wanted me to abuse the game and break the game's fundamental systems, which is what I ended up doing. And then once I broke the game's fundamental systems by using 2 chain guns and 2 twin rocket launchers in the back of my unit with a fuck ton of HP so that I would outlast every single foe that I was fighting, the game became way too easy for me and almost became trivial. But needless to say, these cons were very small in the grand scheme of things. It has way more pros. In fact, my most favorite pro is it achieves the goal of making you feel like a Gundam. This was what I wanted from the game. I wanted, from the moment I started the game, to have a sword in one hand, a shield in the other, and a blaster at my side. And I could do that, and it was great fun, even if I didn't get to play as a Gundam in a lot of missions. But in the few missions where I could, I always deliberately chose to be a fast-moving Gundam where I could. However, most of the time I just defaulted to more power.
Tim, this is the proper tool.
Yeah, I bet it is, Al. You know, men, we want a job done right, and we want it done quick. What do we need? More power! Darn right, more power.
Another great thing about this game is the level-based nature. After playing many From Software games where it was a very open world, connected world, much like Dark Souls, well, Demon's Souls to a lesser extent, and Dark Souls 3 and Sekiro, where are all interconnected open worlds with a level nature in between it, it was nice to actually have a level selection so I can go back and replay levels as I pleased. I could make myself better at the game, replay things, and it also made it so that when I had an hour spare or 2 hours spare, I could much more easily allot my time to playing the game. When I felt I was getting hand cramps, there was always a nice convenient stopping point less than half an hour away for me to stop playing and let my hands readjust. Which is something I have to talk about. I was playing using the PlayStation 5 controller and it would drop inputs on the PC. It was very annoying, but it also hurt my hands, especially when I would accidentally press L3. I would always accidentally press L3 because I was holding down tight on the controller, firing both triggers and occasionally pressing both bumpers while moving the camera and my character. Inevitably, it led to me pressing down the left trigger, the L3, the left thumbstick, which led me to go into Assault Mode, which was the new thing added for Armored Core 6, where your Gundam flies in a straight line and you can dodge shots coming at you very fast and very advantageously. But I always accidentally pressed it in the middle of the combat, and it always annoyed me.
It's like that shit's so hard to dodge.
The story isn't exactly blowing you away. It isn't horrible, but it is very bare bones, at least in the new game version of the game. I haven't played the New Game Plus version of the game, or the New Game Plus Plus version of the game, which apparently has much more story in it and much more missions and just better and different endings. But I haven't gotten there yet. So far, all I can talk about the story that I have experienced, which was thin on the ground to say the least, but it was enough to keep you interested going from level to level and learning about the characters, who they were, why they did the things they did, and they had a few very fulfilling surprises throughout the whole thing, especially at the end of the game with the ending that I chose. That being said, there are only 2 endings in the game, and a lot of your choices don't really affect your ending until the New Game Plus version of the game and the New Game Plus Plus version of the game. But this is really good while the game is nice and short. I think I beat it in less than 20 hours. Yep, I beat it in 15 hours and 1. So probably 15 hours and 5 minutes, which is incredibly short considering it's a From Software game, whereas games like Elden Ring and Dark Souls, I usually have upwards of 40 to 60 hours in just my one playthrough. This one, incredibly short, but this is great because it means it's very easily replayable, especially on New Game Plus and New Game Plus Plus. If this was back in the day of the PlayStation 2 and the Nintendo 64 and the Xbox, I would have played this game over and over, probably about 3 or 4 times a year. I could see myself just sitting down going, you know what I haven't played in a while? Armored Core, and I would play this game. And that is absolutely fantastic. In conclusion, there's quite a lot to love about this game, and I'm looking forward to going back and playing the previous instances of Armored Core, from Armored Core 1 all the way up to Armored Core 5, and all of the expansions and DLC in between, and at a much slower pace, at my own playthrough speed. Especially New Game Plus and New Game Plus Plus. I'm very much looking forward to seeing how the story proceeds and ends and just is. So if any of this is interesting to you, then you should play Armored Core 6. I'm Kris, good day, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.
is silent.